Welcome to the Biz Bros podcast. My name's Kyle Nelson, and this is my co-host Eli Libby. And today we have a very special guest, Dylan Ogline from Ogline Digital. He helps companies scale and grow online through digital marketing, advertising, and management. Dylan, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah. Well, so in terms of what we're going to talk about, we're going to dive into a little bit about how to value yourself, value your company, stoop down into that low end pricing tier. But before that, we kind of want to dive a little bit more into your background. You have a pretty unique background, a background that I think a lot of our listeners can really latch onto and grab. We have a lot of kind of early stage startup listeners, hustler kind of mentality. And I think your background really paints that picture for them. Mm-hmm. And we'd love to kind of just hear from kind of the beginning. Tell us a little more about you.
Sure. So for me, I am a high school dropout.
Okay.
I got my business start prior to dropping out. My first business when I was 14 was selling. Somebody the other day said flipping cell phones on on eBay. This was back pre-iPhone, pre-smartphones, all that good stuff. And in the United States, we just didn't have the good stuff. Like the better cell phones were in Europe. And somehow, some way, I found this like wholesale company that allowed me to apply for a membership or whatever. And I was able to get wholesale priced European cell phones, ship them to the United States and flip them on eBay. So that was the beginning.
Awesome. That's the gateway, huh?
That was the gateway.
Natural entrepreneurial DNA right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did it evolve from that? So that was kind of like your spark. Kyle said it's kind of the evolution of entrepreneurship for you. Where did it go from that?
So so that lasted maybe 6 months to a year. It eventually got shut down because my merchant processor shut me down because I was under the age of 18. They found out. But this was the infancy of Google Ads. I don't even think Facebook had launched yet. This was 2003, 2004. So I know Facebook ads wasn't a thing, but I had played around a little bit with like this thing called Google AdWords and started reading some of these marketing books. And I picked up on the idea that like, dude, you could buy growth now. Like this stuff is trackable. You're not doing billboard ads anymore where you're just throwing money out and just hoping it comes back to you. You could literally track it down and be like, I spent $1,000 on these ads and I got $1,500 in sales or whatever. Mm-hmm. That just blew my mind.
Yeah.
So started reading all this marketing stuff. Then my business got shut down. That led to like 12 years of pain and suffering and bouncing around from one idea to the next, not really getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it wasn't until like 2016 that I finally got things to click. But that whole time I was hustling, trying to make things work, doing anything I could to make ends meet. During that time, I did a lot of website designs, graphics design, logos, basically any quick digital type of work I could find on Upwork or back then it was Elance or Freelancer, something like that.
Odesk, yeah. I think it was Odesk also.
Yeah, Odesk and Elance merged and now it's Upwork.
Well, that's awesome.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, through our experience, but also with other guests, we talk about those kind of pitfalls and things that you have to fail with as you grow in your entrepreneurial career. These different things that I think are kind of keystones to actually being able to where you are today. And it sounds like you had a lot of those, and now you kind of been able to spin off and create this agency that's doing really well. And now you're also teaching, right? Isn't there a course kind of back behind that?
Yeah, now I have two businesses, which is almost, I'm not practicing what I preach. I tell people focus. But so once I got things to click, that's when I just focused on one product or one service in one business, which was digital advertising management with the agency. And within a year or so, we hit 7 figures, and I think it's been 2 or 3 years now in a row that we hit 7 figures. During that time, though, I've had a lot of mentors, a lot of coaches. I used to play hockey, so a lot of hockey coaches that were a huge impact on my life. So I always had this desire to do some kind of coaching or mentoring, teaching something along those lines.
Mhm.
And for years, I would meet people at industry events. This is before I even had anything to show for my efforts.
Yeah.
And just the fact that I own my own business and I worked from home, they'd be like, "Oh, that's the coolest thing. Like, can you tell, how did you do what you do?"
Yeah.
So I started doing some mentoring, even though I didn't have any financial success. I still was working at home. I had my own business and I was doing my own thing. And through multiple iterations, that eventually became what is my education company now, where I teach people how to start their own digital marketing agency.
Wow.
That's awesome. So diving a little bit about your current agency that you have, who are some of your key target kind of clients that you work with? What do you kind of specialize in? And what kind of, going into the holiday season, what's that looking like for you right now?
Sure. So my particular area of expertise, you could say, is typically blue collar home services companies.
Oh, okay.
So the niche I always talk about is plumbing and heating companies. I only have, but it varies during the course of the year, but anywhere between 6 and 7 clients. Like that's it. Typically, it's even under that, under 7 clients at a year during the course of a year. That's all I have. And yeah, so most of them are in the home services industry. And if I were to want to grow the agency and take it another step, maybe get to 8 figures,
Mhm.
I would certainly target probably just plumbing and heating companies in the United States, maybe roofing contractors or
Yeah.
something like that, but just home services.
How did that
companies.
evolve to
Yeah.
the very specific, like who you you can work with and really get some really good like traction for them in return?
Sure. So this is actually it's actually a great question. It's a great lesson too. One of the things I'm really big in when I'm teaching people to start their own agency is niching down. Everybody talks about niching down, but with an agency, it's mission critical.
Mhm.
So in my particular case, the plumbing and heating niche, all that was is my house I had in Pennsylvania. It's 3 years ago or something like that. I needed to get a new boiler installed.
Okay.
That was all it was. And through family friends or something, I finally get this guy to come over. He puts the boiler in, and I just become friends with the guy. And we ended up we'd go and grab a burger and beer and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
And we'd go out for dinner or something, and we'd start talking business. He didn't own his own plumbing and heating company. He just did stuff on the side. And all I found out was that plumbing and heating companies, they don't like repair jobs. They like install projects because the profit margins are higher.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
It's easier.
Yeah.
People aren't arguing with you. They're not calling you at 3 a.m. It's just easier.
Mhm.
So all I did was I just targeted plumbing and heating companies and spoke to them. So I would say, I specifically help plumbing and heating companies grow and get more install projects. It's stuff like that that makes a huge difference. I'm not just saying, hey, I help any business grow with their online marketing or something like that.
Okay.
I'm specifically speaking to that clientele. I'm saying, hey, I specifically help you. And then I'm talking about the kind of stuff that they actually want. They don't want more customers.
Mhm.
They want more install projects. If I were to be like, hey, I can help you get more repair projects, they would be like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is what makes what makes just a huge difference. And that's all it was, is I just knew a little bit about the industry. I could talk to them about I knew a little bit about profit margins in the industry. That was it. People, people think they have this misconception that you need to know everything about the niche.
Right.
Just having that little bit of an advantage allows you to speak to the client's particular wants and needs.
That's powerful.
Super impactful, and I think we've seen it. We see it on our end as well.
So, this is just an automatic maybe assumption. I would think blue collar style services and businesses, those business owners might be a little bit more reluctant to try the digital landscape. Like you
Mhm.
think that maybe that's not where their mind is. They think more local, maybe newspaper,
Like a grassroots
magazine,
type stuff.
hitting their local news station up. How are you able to only have 6 or 7 a year
Yeah.
and have a 7-figure business? Like, how do you get them to understand the value of what digital can really do for them, and then pulling those revenue dollars out, or pulling their monthly retainer, or however you bill them. How are you able to do that and really like speak to them and like really show them like, this is what we can do for you in terms of scale?
Sure. I could go in so many different directions with that. Fantastic question. So it's a few things. One, I believe that when you're doing client outreach, when you're trying to get new customers, the best thing to do is to pre-qualify people. So there's this sales term, I think it's called the buying pyramid or something like that. And it's basically what it talks about is like only like 3% of people, potential, if you were to randomly ask 100 plumbing and heating companies, I should say, are you looking for digital marketing services right now? Only like 3% of them would say, yeah, I'm looking for it right now. I'm thinking about Facebook ads, but I know nothing about it. So when I'm doing targeting, or if I were to be targeting that particular niche and trying to get more customers, I'm not writing an ad or a landing page or anything trying to get all 100% of them. All I care about is that 3%.
Right.
So when they actually schedule a strategy call with me, they're basically already sold. They know that they're already looking, they're thinking about it. So if the way I do it is Google AdWords. So it's not AdWords anymore, but Google Ads. If they're searching for certain terms, they're coming to me. They're already looking to grow their practice, their business, and the landing page speaks to them. And it's not just, I'm not cold calling random plumbing and heating companies. So when they already come on, they are part of that 3%. So there really is no convincing or showing them. In this particular niche, like home services, blue collar businesses or whatnot, I think it's probably easier to sell those people because they pretty much like 90% of businesses know about Facebook ads or Google ads or YouTube ads. They know about it, but that is so far out of their realm of area of expertise. It's not like an e-commerce business. E-commerce businesses, it's going to be more difficult because they're like, well, I know how to do this internet thing, so I can manage my own ads. Of course I can. But a plumbing and heating company, that's going to blow their world. It would be like me trying to put in my own boiler. I would have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
But if I was, say, a pool builder, I was building pools all the time, I'm familiar with construction, I might be willing to try it myself.
Right.
So it's a little bit of all that combined, if that makes any sense.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's super interesting.
That is. Yeah, I remember when we were creating just when you talked a little bit about grabbing a little percentage of the market. Same thing with e-commerce. I think a lot of sellers think, and this is kind of how our thought was, is say like the snowshoe market is like, I don't know, $10 billion. And if you can just get a little sliver of a percentage of 1 billion, like think about the numbers you can get.
Oh, yeah.
So that was like how going into an e-commerce business. I think a lot of people think like that as well in the e-commerce space. And I think you hit it right on the head when you're talking about getting a percentage of that 100 plumbers that you're talking about. That was super impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people, when they're writing ad or copy, they make the mistake of thinking, I want to write this for 100% of everybody.
Yep.
Your service could be free.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's still a certain percentage of the market that'll say no to that because they want the higher premium option.
Yep.
Like you could ask 100, you could go different directions. You could ask 100 people on the street, I'm going to give you a free car.
Right.
There's still probably like 3% of the people that'll say, no, thank you. I want a Mercedes. I want the higher end solution. I have the resources for that. So when I'm doing customer outreach, this is something else that I forgot to mention. I will write ads. I will write copy trying to get people to not click on my ad.
That makes sense.
Most people, they're trying to get everybody to click on it.
Yeah.
I want only the 3%. And if you look into the buying pyramid, it's actually like 10%. 3% is ready today. Another 3 to 7% is ready within the next 3 months. It's something like that.
Yeah.
So I want just that top 10% to click on my ads, or the top 10% that are looking to pay for a premium solution.
And get you the strongest ROI.
Yeah.
Because then you're not wasting spend on people that don't have interest.
Yep. That's awesome.
Exactly.
I think that's a
value
nugget that we're
bomb.
going to take back.
Absolutely. Before we jump off, spinning off into another topic, I just had a question. In terms of blue collar workers in the industry you're working in, what is the most successful channel that you've seen with your clients? Is it Facebook? Is it Google? Where is it? Where are you seeing? Yeah, YouTube. I mean, out of all,
It would be Google.
Yep. Right.
Specifically, if it's a bigger company,
Mhm.
Facebook can be extremely successful.
Cool.
Google is just easier.
Like local wise, like
Yeah, like local approach, geo. Like I get it.
Yeah, because when you're talking, then how can I answer this best? If the company is looking to continue to grow to other regions, they're say in the Pittsburgh area and they want to start growing to Cleveland and Philly, and they want to start growing their network, Facebook is probably best. If you're just, I want to stay in Orlando and saturate that market, Google is probably best.
Makes sense. I'm just trying to think if we had a recent project where we needed to install a lighting fixture for a video production, and I would just kind of go through my process of how I looked. I did do a local search on Google, but I actually went more back to like the word of mouth. I went into a local Facebook group here in Oregon, and I asked like, who anybody have any like good electricians that they can refer us to, simply because of a trust factor, some credibility, maybe some word of mouth. That's how I found our electrician, but I did do the first search in Google, but then I actually used people's backing and their word to help us make a decision. So yeah.
For those types of businesses, reviews are massive.
Oh yeah.
So you definitely want to, we don't particularly help with this, but we'll provide kind of consulting and kind of give them advice on how to
receive more reviews.
Receive more reviews, encourage their clients and customers to provide more reviews, because if somebody searches electrician, most of the time you're going to go with the highest reviewed.
100%.
Exactly.
So that stuff is huge.
Totally.
So let's kind of go from your digital agency to your training programs. Let's talk a little bit about that. So are you you're helping people like how to begin an agency, right? How to start it from infancy. Now, are these people that you are helping that they're just like, I know I want to get out of the 9 to 5 and I know an agency sounds right, I'm going to give it a try, I know nothing about it? Are these people that kind of understand a little bit and you're just kind of grooming them to really help like launch them and get them moving? And what's the process like? Do you help them get started and then you help them on their journey? Or is it just kind of like this business in a box? This is what you need to do. Is it one-on-one consulting? How does that go down?
That was a lot of questions.
I know. I kept, my brain kept going. Sorry about that. But.
No worries. So I don't want to answer that. So at first I would say the goal of the program when I built this newest version was I want to be able to take anybody up, a soccer mom, a new college, somebody who just got out of college who knows nothing about starting their own business, knows nothing about the digital agency space, knows nothing about marketing. I wanted to be able to take that person, teach them everything they need to know within 6 weeks so that they can start growing their agency and get to that 6-figure level. Students that I've had so far, probably it's 75% are, they want to get out of that 9 to 5. They knew nothing about digital marketing. They knew nothing about an agency. They're just convinced that I want to start my own business, that, they saw my ad on Facebook or something like that. And they're like, this is the route I want to go. And the other 25% are people that I would say probably have some experience in marketing or whatnot. Maybe only 5% actually have their own agency and they're just looking to grow. But there's some people who they've been doing contractor type of work and like hourly work, building websites, building logos, maybe managing somebody's Facebook ads, getting paid by the hour.
Yeah. And
they want to actually start their own serious agency and grow an actual business.
Cool.
What was the other questions? There are so many, man.
I think it's just kind of like, do you help launch and then do you like help them with the journey, or like, are you always kind of like holding their hand through the way to make sure they're going the right paths because you've done it before and like how to guide someone?
Sure. So the business in a box that you mentioned, I kind of like that description. It is a step-by-step process for people to go through, but there is also it's not a one-on-one element, but I do group calls. I do a weekly group call. So they can go through all the content by themselves, take action steps, but if they run into roadblocks, if they have questions or whatever, they can jump on those weekly group calls and actually, it's over Zoom, actually have a conversation with me. And most of the times that's just sales issues.
Sure.
A lot of people are just nervous about jumping on a call with somebody and trying to sell them. But yeah, so but it's not one-on-one. It's that group element.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about pricing and
Sure.
kind of the meat and potatoes of this podcast, which is value. And you mentioned earlier before the podcast, and you just mentioned it there. It's talking about hourly pricing. How is that changing in the world of service providers, and how do you view kind of hourly pricing versus thinking about more of the ROI side?
Sure. So when it comes to, if you are doing contractor type of work, it's probably going to be difficult to move to more of a value-based pricing model. You're just stuck in that hourly based. I'm managing your Facebook ads for $20 an hour or whatever. I'm building websites for $50 an hour. But when it comes to starting at your own agency or your own business, the value-based model is certainly better to go with. And when you're doing business to business, it is very easy to calculate. It's just based on ROI. So an example I think we were talking about pre-show was, say somebody comes in, they're doing websites, because websites are just a clean, you're building a product that people can actually see. A contractor looks at that and says, okay, well, it took me 50 hours to build this website. I charge about $50 an hour. I'm going to charge the client $2,500. I look at that and I say, what is the value to that client? So if that client is you're building that website for them and they're able to, so they're a plumbing and heating company and they're able to get 3 extra leads a month that generate them $2,000 in profit each, they're making an extra, what is that? $72,000 a year from that website. And I'm just throwing out numbers as an example here. That client wouldn't care if that website costs $10,000.
Right.
Yep.
And if you can show them that value, $10,000, $20,000, the price almost doesn't matter. And the key to that is basically understanding where the client is now, point A, where they are now, and point B, which is where they want to be, and truly understanding that. And if you can define point B, where the client wants to be, better than they can, they will just automatically assume that you have the solution.
Right.
Another direction is obviously I own a digital agency. If I manage and say, if our company's managing $50,000 in ad spend for a client a month, and they generate $250,000 in sales off of that, and they're making an extra $150,000 in profit off of it, they don't care if it took us 500 hours to do that work and manage the ads or 1 hour of work.
You're making money at the end of the day.
They're making them exactly. They don't care. So if it takes us, 1 hour and we send them an invoice, we charge 10% of their ad spend. So if they spend 50, we're going to send them an invoice for $5,000. They don't care. They don't want an hourly breakdown of that because it's a very clear ROI.
Love it. And I think
that's so strong and powerful
yeah.
on helping people pricing. Cause I know like with digital agencies, like the hardest thing for people to do is understand how to price it. People are nervous. They're afraid to like really go in and like pitch the price that they know they're worth, but they don't end up doing it because they just want to win the client. They just want to make more money. So they'll underbid themselves big time.
Exactly.
But when you put it into the perspective of it doesn't matter if it's 1 hour or 500 hours, as long as you're giving them an awesome ROI.
Yes.
That's key. That's strong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We always say
go ahead. I was going to focus on something Kyle said about that you then lower the price.
Right.
That can cause 2 major problems. The first is that you end up hiding behind low prices.
Right. Just not what you
let's use the website example. Because it's clear you're building a product for somebody.
Yep.
If you're charging, say $2,500 for that website, and it's taking you a lot of time, your quality is going to naturally decrease.
Right.
Because you as the business owner, as the contractor, the person building it, you're going to start to be like, well, I mean, I'm barely getting paid anything. And subconsciously you're like, the client paid a cheap price. Like, this is kind of what they should expect.
Right.
So what happens is you end up standing behind low prices. You're hiding behind your low price. A perfect example I like to use with this is cars. Chevy charges, it's like, you can go get like a brand new Chevy Cruze for like $15,000.
Yep.
It's probably even cheaper now. And it's going to get you from point A to point B, but a lot of people have problems with those vehicles because they're cheap.
Right.
But if you start to complain, everybody's like, you paid 15 grand for a brand new car. Like, what did you expect?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, what did you expect? And GM, Chevy, they're going to stand behind their product, certainly, but there's this subconscious thing that we're all like, they're standing behind the low price, being like, what did you expect? Mercedes, if they sell a $180,000 vehicle, everybody knows that that's paying a lot of money for that vehicle. So they're going to do their best to deliver an absolutely perfect product. And instead of standing behind low prices, they're standing beside high premium prices. And it's just the clients end up happier. Most people who are buying $180,000 Mercedes probably end up happy. The product ends up being incredible. You end up with more money. You're not ending up with all these consumer complaints.
Right.
It's simply a better place to be.
Absolutely.
Second thing, and this is absolutely critical, especially for those that are starting out. When you start lowering your prices, you can end up in what I call being price trapped. So especially like building websites or doing agency type of work, one of the most common questions that people get is, can I have a referral or can I talk to somebody, a previous client, or who else have you worked with? Case studies, whatever. And if that person, say you built that website for $2,500 and now you're charging two times that, you're charging $5,000 or 4 times that, $10,000. If that new client reaches out to that old client, the very first question that they're going to ask is, how much did you pay?
Right.
It's huge.
So now they're going into it with a certain price point in mind, and you're charging way more for the same product.
Right.
So you don't, it's like if McDonald's all of a sudden tomorrow started charging $20 for a steak.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
Wait, no, McDonald's doesn't charge that much. They charge like $5 for a meal. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Very similar
price trap, I think, is real for so many people.
Many people.
Because you're just trying to sweep up the first few clients to get the revenue going, maybe get some referrals.
And that's what we would say about Amazon. Again, I keep bringing it back to e-commerce, but Amazon really, on the first page, is really just a race to the bottom in terms of price. You want to be on that first page, you're going to be the lowest price competitor.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that's what it is.
Probably not going to make any money.
And your product is probably crap. So we say that quality is the best business model. And in order to have a quality product, that allows you to stand at your price and not really back down. Yeah, there'll be these exceptions for maybe some cash flow issues, but as long as you're producing a quality product, there should be no reason to back down on that price.
Yeah,
100%.
When we started Results Imagery, we were somewhere between the low price leader to the medium. And now we're flipped. We're like trying to have less clients so we can focus more on, higher quality client. Everyone's a high quality client, exactly, like that, but higher paying clients so they can get the time that they deserve.
Back to your point, exactly. Back to your point, Dylan, like you saying, you preach is focus. And if you can have less customers that are paying more, you can focus more. So
100%.
I love it.
There's no doubt about it.
So Dylan, we're going to wrap this podcast up. Where can everybody find you at?
Really simple. My website's dylanogline.com, OGLINE.
Perfect, Dylan. Well, we appreciate your time, man. That was an awesome conversation. It's really cool to kind of speak with other millennials kind of in the same space and seeing so much success. It's really cool because it speaks to us and it speaks to our listeners. So
some true value bombs today.
It was cool.
So we appreciate everything.
I know. I think
Absolutely,
there's a ton of takeaways that we're going to take, which is always
Absolutely.
fun. We're having conversations on our podcast.
I'll send you guys an invoice after the show.
And the
For my
audience.
hourly invoice.
Yeah.
Cool, Dylan,
cool.
man. Well, thanks, man. We appreciate it. If you haven't yet,
Absolutely,
please
guys. Thank
subscribe
you.
to the Biz Bros podcast and check out our Instagram at biz.bros. And we'll see you in the next episode.
See you guys.